right, traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. I want to welcome you all back, and we're gonna get started with the morning analysis. So the euro, probing the 112 level, pretty important support for the euro, but we're going to talk about that here in just a second as we pull up the charts. Hey, I wanted to let you all know I just reached out to Steve Volgi in Greece. I know he was at the pro euro rally yesterday in Sintigma Square yesterday, and he agreed this morning to be a part of tomorrow's Morning Edge. So he'll be joining us tomorrow morning on the Morning Edge. Matter of fact, I should probably tweet that too. Let's see here. Hold on. Well, I'll tweet it a little bit later. What we got to get through is our morning analysis. So he'll be joining us tomorrow, he'll give us a good update on what we should expect for the remainder of the last week, before this IMF payment is due, and maybe give us an update on where the market's looking and kind of what we could expect, from a Greek economist point of view, which I think is going to be important. All right, so let's look at the euro dollar. So, hourly support comes in right here at the 38% retracement. I agree with Paula. There was a lot of, and I noted it at the end of last week to our traders here, or that it seemed like the market was getting pretty aggressively long the euro, and so at this point we came out of a wedge, and this wedge is now, and this by the way, this trend line that you see right here, irrelevant at the moment, and I'll tell you the reason why. What's more relevant is this trend line, because you can see I drew both of them yesterday afternoon, but you can see the way that we sold off. Let me grab a pen here. Okay. See how we sold off? See how we tested it right there and then came down? So it shows you just how important this 113 level is and how important this 112 level is. So 112 to 113, I mean, I know we're sitting on 112 right now. I'll actually give it to 111.90. And if we run back to 113, just imagine that those Greek gods are singing in the Orthodox Church. Do you know how they sound? Well, since you already know how they sound, I'm not going to sing them for you. But yeah, if we rally back to 113 today, and that's going to give us a great opportunity for those of us that are not short the euro dollar to be on the short side. The Greek gods would be like, oh, euro dollar has reached 113. It's giving us an opportunity to short it right there. Oh. That was a poor rendition of the Greek god singing. Oh, all right, well, I tried. Anyway, it's too early. It's too early, and I haven't stretched out this morning. That's the problem. Anyway, 113 would be a good selling opportunity, in my opinion, if we can get up there. 111.90 should offer us some pretty good support. For right now, you got to imagine that stops below 112 are probably going to get tripped, so you got to be bracing for that. Okay, a little bit of a stop run there. Let's go over to the pound, and man, that was a really, really poor showing of my singing. All right, so here's the cable, and I want to go over the charts we talked about yesterday. Okay. So we have this inverted head and shoulder pattern. It's a complex head and shoulder pattern. I wanted to show you this red line here, this one, if I can pull it up. Okay, this one right here. The reason why that red line's there is I'm trying to show you the far right shoulder. We can still, to stay some, to give us good symmetry in this inverted head and shoulder pattern, we still have some distance to travel in time and stay symmetrical to this inverted head and shoulder pattern. So theoretically, we can still come down like this. If, like, let's just say the euro comes under pressure, we can come down like this, bounce around a little bit, and then come back up, and then rally, and still stay, keep the symmetry of the inverted head and shoulder pattern. Okay, so I'm assuming that if the euro dollar continues to come under pressure, the pound's going to eventually buckle. That would be my thought process. But you can see here we're right at major support. Okay, do you see that? Major support here. You can go across the whole bottom here. But this support comes in at 157.55. If that level breaks, 157.55. Actually, you know what I should do is I'll put an asterisk there. I'm also going to put an asterisk here. If we can break that, that's probably gonna be the catalyst that drives the cable lower. That might give that euro pound a bounce if that happens. But that will be some pretty decent selling pressure if we start to come through there. Okay, probably take us back down to 156, somewhere down here. Probably down to like this wedge breakout point somewhere around this area. Okay. Okay. Now we have some distance to go here before that happens. And somebody asked me yesterday if we were flagging. I said, yeah, we were. Okay. Not anymore. Well, we might still be actually. So it's hard to say. Let's figure out. Yeah, I mean, 38% retracement of this entire move is down at 156.50. Of the entire move is 156.50. So I would think that would be our minimum expectations if the pound can crack. I mean, that's good to know, because as a trader, for me, I would look at it like this: if we can get the pound to break through here, there's a good 50 or 60 pips, even if it's just a scalp. You know what I mean? Because you don't know where it's going to bounce to 156, 156.50. But being able to get some momentum through there and being able to pull 40, 50 pips out of that, just from a momentum standpoint, that's right now in this time of uncertainty in the currency market, that to me is a very good trade. So that's going to be major support. Now resistance, well, it's right here. Seems pretty clean too. $58.34. So highs here, 58.42. So I'm just gonna call it 158.40. Some resistance. It's not great resistance, but it is. Yeah. All right, let's go over to the Swissy. So the Swissy is heading right to resistance, and this is the trend line that we've had drawn out for a while. Okay. Right. So I mean, that's kept us really contained all of spring. From March on, we're heading right up to it. This is probably a really good short. I'm always a little Oh, did I put the wrong number, Jared? All right, hold on. Sorry. Oh, 50. Thanks. 58.40. My bad. Thank you, Jared. Um, thanks, Rick. Yeah, sorry about that. My bad. Dyslexic. Do you notice it says it's 4:44 a.m.? That's why. It's not normal. This is not human. This is very abnormal times to be awake for anybody. I've I'm allowed some problems there. Okay, so here's the Swissy. So we've had this drawn for a while, and for quite some time actually. So that comes up now. Let's figure out where this is. Let's delete these fib levels really quick. Obviously, this is support, so we don't even have to battle about that. So the support comes in at 92.50. Whoops, 250. Malcolm says it depends what you do when you're awake at 4:44 in the morning. Right. For me, it's not. I'd been on the other end. Like if I'm up at 4:40 in the morning after being up all night. Now that's a different story. But that doesn't happen at this stage of my life. I'm the first one down, guaranteed. If I'm out with friends, guaranteed I'm the first one down every time. It's not even a question. I'm usually that guy that's slumped over at the dinner table or out at the bar. Or, yeah, that's me. Okay. Okay. Let's go over here to 786 retracement comes in at 93.50. That's also going to be that downtrend line that we're talking about. Okay. Wick could not sustain. Candle could not sustain. We're getting there. So as long as we stay below 93.50, very careful being on the long side. Like I said, it's probably a great short. I'm worried that if for some reason, uh, poop hits the fan in Greece, I'm just worried that the Swiss National Bank is going to do something to thwart people buying the Swiss francs. I'm fearful of that. So let's go over to the yen. Okay, so the yen. Yesterday we wrote down 123. I'm sure we wrote down 123.65. Or what did we write down for resistance in the yen yesterday? 123.65 or 70? I don't have the number. Do you guys know what we wrote down yesterday? Resistance? 123.65. Thanks, David. So 123.65. Thanks, Esther. So that was the 618. You can see that obviously that was a good level of resistance that because we hit overnight in Asia, we hit 123.78. So this downtrend line comes into play right here. I mean, and by the way, when yesterday when I got out of my euro yen short, we were here. Just so you know, we were here, and I'm like, God, this thing looks like it might break out. My fear was, if the dollar yen broke out, then the euro yen that was 90 pips in profit for me was going to whip back up. So I didn't want to. It was one of the things that provoked me to one of the things that provoked me to cover the euro yen last night. And you can see we're right up against resistance here. I mean, I'm going to have to write 123.80, and after that 124. So And if that breaks out, 123.80, 124. If that breaks out, guys, then that's going to just bring in more dollar strength. You know, it's going to probably flush the euro through the 112 level, I assume. All right, support. So very minor support. I'm just kind of drawing everything out, eyeballing it. Um, 123.4. We have a bunch of U.S. data today. We got durable goods. We have new home sales. Hold on. We have flash PMI. We have FOMC member Powell is speaking today, and Powell. The reason why Powell's speaking engagement is really important is he's talking about the first interest rate hike. Uh, Hello, in 10 minutes. Matter of fact. So we got to watch for comments coming out from him. Uh, Flash manufacturing PMI and new home sales. Okay, so and by the way, I was very unscientific, but I was talking to my brother-in-law who's a realtor here in 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 Arizona for Father's Day. You know, I was talking to him, and he sells medium price homes, sells and lists. His homes are anywhere between, I would say on average, $250 to $500,000. He doesn't do any real high. Oh, here goes the euro. Whoops, the yen's breaking, euro's breaking. Um, yeah, euro's testing those. Euro's testing those stops right now. But he was telling me that the housing market is extremely. He goes, inventory is really low. It's very tight. He goes, it is a seller's market. He's like, people are just listing their homes for sale and they're just selling immediately. I think what you're seeing is a lot of rush of first-time buyers are coming in because they know rates are going up. So, it's something to just keep in mind, guys. You know, it's something to keep in mind. It's the housing market's probably going to continue to stay pretty strong as rates go up, and once rates go up, it'll slow down again. But anyway, okay, I was just watching here to see if the euro is going to break any lower. We're at 112, and then 111.90 is probably going to offer some support too. Okay, so dollar yen, we were just talking about dollar yen, 123.40. We're trying to break out right now. Trying to break the resistance. Let's go over to Canadian. Look at this thing. I mean, this is silly. This thing just rips. I mean, the crude oil hasn't even moved. And that's the craziest thing about this Canadian. So hold on. We can remove that. So we're at a 50% retracement right now. That's holding. You have to imagine if we break through 123.60, this thing is going to start just squeezing. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot of traders that are short. There's a lot of traders that just do not believe in this move. A lot of people don't believe in the dollar right now. Okay. 123.60 65. It's key resistance 123.65. It's the neckline. I mean, we're pretty much there. You can see how somebody's capping it. Somebody does not want it to go any higher. $123.20 is support. It's very tight. It's ready to move. Euro's below 112. Testing bids at 112 right now, just below it. Let's go over to the Kiwi. What a POS. My God. Here's your, okay, so just so you guys can see it, this is from 2000, 38% retracement. We've already severed through it. Here's the 50% retracement. That's on the last 5 years. And we're through support, really critical support. Where I want to be a buyer of the Kiwi, just so you all know, is right here. But that's dependent on what's happening at the time, obviously. I want to be a buyer right below there, 64 cents, okay? Because I'd like to see all the stops get triggered and then get long. But obviously, if it depends what's happening. I mean, if there's a massive amount of risk aversion at the time, I'll avoid that like the plague. But right now, I just don't know where the Kiwi's going, other than as long as it stays below that yellow line, it's a short. So any rally back to this yellow line, but that's 70 cents. I mean, what's the chances of us going up there today? I don't know. So 69.30 is resistance for now. Okay. Support is, I'm not really too sure. I really don't know where support is. Low to high, 161% extension of that last move, that last bounce. That comes in 6804. I mean, it's a round number, so I'll put in 0.6800. Okay. All right, guys. When I come back, we're going to do the Aussie. We're going to do the Aussie, the dollar index. I might remove the dollar index off of our bias chart until I get a new dollar index personally, and then, but we will also look at the S&P. We'll take a look at the DAX. I've got a couple requests for the DAX this morning. We'll look at the Nordic currencies. The Swedish krona is breaking higher. Broke a really nasty downtrend line about 1,000 pips ago. Actually, I'm sorry, about 500 pips ago. And we'll take a look at the peso and all those currencies. So don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. Thanks for hanging out, and sorry for the delay. So let's go over to the Aussie, and let's take a real quick look. It's very, very choppy markets, but you can see the Aussie dollar has really stalled at there's a horizontal resistance here that held us. 38% retracement wasn't far above that, and the Aussie has really struggled as we've hit this kind of sell zone, if you will, in the pair. Okay, somewhere in here, and I think this is going to be really important moving forward. Now, just looking at the hourly though, we're probably on some pretty key support here. Not a bad place to be on the long side if you're going to do it. I don't think. Yeah, maybe there's a little bit more downside here. Let me see something. Hmm. Okay, so that 127% extension move takes us to 76.75. 78% is 76.87. You know, we have to make the assumption because I mean the dollar is firm right now. I mean the dollar is really firm. We got to make the assumption that the dollar continues to firm up here. Um, so really, next support will come around 76. Let's just call it 76.70. It's going to coincide with that trend line support too. Because if we get down here, then people will start drawing it maybe a little through the wicks or whatever. But there should be really good support at 76.70. And resistance now very firm right here. This is very, very good resistance at 77.40. Okay. And we are definitely range bound here. Um, Now the dollar index, we have to look at the daily chart. So we are coming out of the wedge, right? That descending wedge. So let's figure out where key resistance is for the dollar on the way back up. So 95.60 for those of you that have the dollar index. Because we have the 38% retracements at 95.17, the 95, what's that high right there too? 67. So really it's 95.70. Let's just call it resistance. Oops. And support is going to be any move back down here to retest this trend line, which comes in at 93. Let's just call it 93.30. Oops. Okay, and let's go over to the peso. Gosh, this euro is so weak. I mean, it is just consistent pressure on the euro dollar right now. I'm just glancing at it, looking at it with one eye over here on my other computer. Okay, so the peso. Oops. So the peso um, looks like it's recovering right now, but 38% retracement. Yeah, I mean, we're coming right up against it, really. Coming into some key resistance for the peso. It's kind of like the euro dollar. If the euro breaks through 111.90, you know, it's this peso is probably going to start squeezing, you know, above here, roughly. And you can see how we're probing resistance, and we got the 38% right here. Excuse me, at 1540. So I don't know if it's going to do it right now, but I would think that any strong U.S. data could make the dollar, make the peso squeeze here. So um, take that support. So 1540, 1528. 1528. Oops. 1540. Let's go over to the Norwegian krona. Yeah, that one. I mean, that looks like it's about ready to do some dirty work too, especially if the euro breaks down. Um, Here's the Swedish krona. Wow, that back test too. Look at that. That was perfect. Notice how we broke this downtrend line here. See that one? That was from yesterday. We broke that downtrend line, and then what we did is we retested. This is resistance, right? We had written that down from yesterday, or drew that red line from yesterday, rather. And then we retested it. Is at 817. So we broke it, came down, retested it, and started bouncing again. Pretty aggressive. Oh yeah, so this is some good resistance right where we're at right now. If the euro bounces, this is probably a decent short, but again, I think you're gonna have to wait for the data here. All right, let's see if I can take some questions from here. Oh, you know, I said I'd go over the E-mini futures. I'd also look at the DAX for a couple of people. Let's go over to the E-minis. Okay, here's the E-mini futures. So of this move, the 127% extension has stuck like really well. Basically comes in at 2120, but look at this support. And that is pretty strong. write down 2112. I mean, we're prepped to break out here. So 2112 or 2110. I would say I would give it to that spike low right there, right here. 21. Well, I guess that is 2110 and 2120. We're wound up here in the E minis. ES, SPX. 2110, 2120. And let's take a real quick look at the DAX. Wow, this DAX is right at resistance. Look at that. Bam, daily chart. Wait, hold on. 4 hour. Wait a second here. Hold on, hold on, hold on. This DAX is this DAX right now is a short. Right now. And I can't trade the DAX, but I mean, if you're going to short it, this is like the best, um, risk reward opportunity right at this point. I don't think you have to risk a whole lot here. One was it 11,627. We're right here, and you're retesting this trend line. Let me take a look at where the S&P is at again. Futures are up a little bit, right up against resistance. $0 sitting on its lows. Euro's weak. Swissy's weak too. That means the Euro Swiss is weak. Hold on. Why is the Euro Swiss so weak right now? That's wound up. Huh. Okay. All right, I'm going to take some questions.